You're holding it right now. Or it's in your pocket, on your desk, on the nightstand beside your bed. You've probably had 3 or 4 of them in your lifetime. Maybe more. Inside that device, inside almost every smartphone on Earth, is a mineral called Coltan. Coltan makes your phone's battery hold a charge. It makes your touchscreen respond to your fingertip. Without it, the device in your hand is just glass and plastic. Over 60% of the world's coltan comes from one place, the Democratic Republic of Congo. Congo also holds more than half of the world's cobalt, used in electric car batteries. It has gold, diamonds, uranium, and timber. The total value of Congo's untapped mineral wealth has been estimated at $24 trillion. $24 trillion. And yet, the Democratic Republic of Congo ranks among the 10 poorest countries on Earth. 70% of its people live on less than $2 a day. Its children work in mines by hand, without gloves, without helmets, without pay, so that your phone can exist. That is not a coincidence. That is not bad luck. That is a decision that was made over 100 years ago. And nobody told you. This is the story of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the richest country the world chose to keep poor. Before we talk about what was taken, we have to talk about what existed. Because one of the greatest tricks of colonial history is making Africa feel like it had nothing worth taking. Like it was empty. Like civilization arrived from Europe. It did not. Long before any European set foot on Congolese soil, the Kongo Kingdom was one of the most organized and sophisticated states in the world. Founded around the 14th century, the Kingdom of Congo stretched across what is now the northern part of the Democratic Republic of Congo, the Republic of Congo, and Angola. At its height, it had a population of over 2 million people, larger than most European countries at the same time. The Kongo Kingdom had a structured government. It had a king, the man of Congo, supported by a council of governors, each responsible for a province. It had diplomatic relations with neighboring kingdoms. It had trade networks that moved copper, ivory, and cloth across hundreds of miles. It had a writing system. It had formal laws. It had currency. When Portuguese explorers first made contact with the Kongo Kingdom in 1483, they were not encountering a primitive people in need of civilization. They were encountering a peer, a nation-state with its own power, its own culture, its own sovereignty. In fact, for a period, relations between Portugal and the Kongo Kingdom were diplomatic. Congo's King Afonso I, baptized Catholic, educated, articulate, wrote letters to the King of Portugal warning him that Portuguese traders were enslaving Congo citizens. A Congolese king in the 15th century, writing letters to Europe to protest the slave trade. Not a passive victim, an active statesman defending his people. Those letters still exist. They are preserved in Portuguese archives, and most of the world has never heard of them. But the kingdom could not hold forever. The slave trade hollowed it out, removing its people, disrupting its trade, undermining its authority. By the 19th century, the Kongo Kingdom had fractured, and that made what came next possible. In 1884, the most powerful nations in Europe gathered in Berlin for a conference. They were not invited by Africa. No African leader was present. No African voice was heard. They sat in a room in Germany and divided an entire continent between themselves. The Berlin Conference of 1884 formalized the scramble for Africa. And one of the most extraordinary outcomes of that conference was this: King Leopold II of Belgium was given personal ownership of the Congo. Not Belgium as a nation, not a colonial government. One man, King Leopold II, was given personal ownership of a territory 76 times the size of Belgium. He called it the Congo Free State. He presented it to the world as a humanitarian mission. He told Europe he was bringing civilization and Christianity to a savage land. The international community applauded him. What he was actually doing was running the most profitable private enterprise in the history of colonialism, through terror. Leopold's primary interest was rubber. At the end of the 19th century, the global demand for rubber exploded, for bicycle tires, for industrial machinery, for telegraph cables. And the Congo basin was full of rubber-producing vines. Leopold forced every Congolese village to meet a rubber quota. Every man, woman, and child was required to collect rubber for free, for Leopold's profit. If a village failed to meet its quota, Leopold's private army, the Force Publique, was sent in. They burned villages. They took women hostage. They killed. And to prove that bullets were not being wasted, that each bullet had killed a person and not been used for hunting, soldiers were required to bring back the severed right hand of their victims. Baskets of severed hands became currency in the Congo Free State. Soldiers cut off the hands of men, women, and children, sometimes while they were still alive, to satisfy their commanders. Missionaries who witnessed this wrote letters back to Europe. Journalists investigated. Slowly, the truth began to reach the world. And the world was horrified. Leopold was eventually forced to hand the Congo over to the Belgian government in 1908. But by then, the damage was done. Historians estimate that between 10 and 15 million Congolese people died during Leopold's reign. Not in a war, not from a disease, from deliberate, systematic brutality inflicted by one man in pursuit of profit. It is one of the largest death tolls in human history. It rivals the Holocaust in scale, and almost no one learns about it in school. When you ask why, the answer is uncomfortable. Leopold died wealthy and celebrated in Belgium. Statues were built in his honor. It took over 100 years for the Belgian government to formally acknowledge what happened. The story was suppressed because acknowledging it fully would mean acknowledging that the wealth of Europe was built on the bones of Africa. Fast forward 50 years. The 20th century brought winds of change across Africa. Colony after colony pushed for independence. And on the 30th of June, 1960, the Democratic Republic of Congo declared independence from Belgium. The Belgian King Baudouin attended the ceremony. He gave a speech praising Leopold's civilizing mission. Then a young man stood up. His name was Patrice Lumumba. He was 34 years old. He had been a postal clerk. He had taught himself politics through reading and organizing. He had been arrested and imprisoned by the Belgians. And standing in front of the world, in front of the Belgian king, he gave a speech that no one expected. He spoke about slavery, about the humiliation of colonialism, about the Congolese people who had been called savages in their own land. He said, and these were words no African leader was supposed to say in that moment, that the independence of Congo was not a gift from Belgium. It was a victory wrested from their hands. The room went silent. Diplomats shifted in their seats. The Belgian king looked shaken. The world was watching. And the world had just heard something dangerous. A free African man speaking truth to power on the day his country was born. Lumumba became Congo's first prime minister. He dreamed of a Congo that controlled its own resources, that used its mineral wealth to build its own future, rather than enriching foreign powers. He lasted 66 days in office. In September 1960, he was removed from power in a CIA-backed coup. The United States government viewed him as a potential Soviet ally and considered him a threat to Western interests in the region. On the 17th of January, 1961, Patrice Lumumba was executed. He was shot. His body was dissolved in acid so that nothing remained. He was 35 years old. The CIA's involvement was officially acknowledged by the United States government in 1975. A Senate investigation confirmed that American officials had discussed plans to assassinate him. In his place, a Western-backed dictator named Mobutu Sese Seko was installed. Mobutu ruled Congo for 32 years. He was brutal, corrupt, and compliant with Western interests. He stole billions from his own people. And he was supported, funded, and armed by the United States for decades. The dream that Lumumba had spoken into existence on Independence Day, a Congo that belonged to its people, was buried with him. So let's come back to the present. Because this is not history. This is happening right now today as you watch this video. The cobalt that powers your smartphone battery comes predominantly from the Democratic Republic of Congo. The coltan in your phone's capacitors, Congo. The cassiterite in the circuit boards, Congo. And the people mining it are doing so in conditions that have not changed much since Leopold's rubber camps. In the artisanal mines of South Kivu and Katanga province, men, women, and children dig by hand, in tunnels with no ventilation, no safety equipment, no legal protection. They are paid almost nothing. The minerals they extract are sold to intermediaries, who sell to international traders, who sell to the companies whose products fill the shelves of every electronics store in the world. The supply chain is deliberately complex. It is designed to be difficult to trace. Apple, Samsung, Tesla, Microsoft, these companies have all faced scrutiny over their Congolese supply chains. Most of them have published commitments to responsible sourcing. Most researchers who investigate these commitments say they are largely cosmetic. There is currently an ongoing conflict in eastern Congo, one of the longest-running and deadliest conflicts on Earth, with over 6 million people displaced. It has been called the world's most forgotten war, and it is fueled in significant part by competition for mineral wealth. Armed groups fight for control of mining territories. Civilians pay the price. 6 million people, in a war that barely makes the news in the West. Because the minerals keep flowing. Because the phones keep selling. Because as long as the supply chain keeps moving, there is no incentive to stop. Leopold's rubber camps killed 10 million people so that bicycle tires could be cheap. Today's mining system displaces 6 million people so that phone batteries can be affordable. The actors have changed. The system has not. That is not an accident. That is by design. But I will not end this video in despair. Because the Congolese people have never stopped fighting. They have never accepted the story that was written for them. There are Congolese journalists risking their lives to document what is happening in the eastern mines. There are Congolese lawyers taking mining companies to international courts. There are Congolese artists, writers, and filmmakers telling their own story, not the story of suffering, but the story of a people who have survived everything the world has thrown at them and are still here. There are Congolese activists pushing for legislation that would require every electronics company to publish a full, traceable account of where their minerals come from. Some of those laws are starting to pass in Europe. Change is slow, but it is moving. And you watching this, you are part of this. Not because you are responsible for Leopold. Not because you chose this supply chain. But because knowledge changes things. Because when enough people know, silence becomes harder to maintain. Because the reason this history has been suppressed for so long is that the people who benefit from it are counting on you not knowing. You know now. If you did not know this story before today, I want you to ask yourself why. Ask what else you were not taught. Ask whose interests are served by your ignorance. And then share this video. Because the most powerful thing you can do right now is refuse to let this stay hidden. I'm going to keep telling these stories, the ones that were buried, the ones that were erased, the ones that the world does not want us to know. If that matters to you, subscribe. Leave a comment below. What surprised you most about Congo's story? And I'll see you in the next one.